Also, do yourself a favor and also go see,
Meep meep.
no, not Space Jam: New Legacy. Roadrunner, a film about Anthony Bourdain, who was one of my all-time favorite travel hosts and chefs. I mostly see him as a travel show host and also some sort of cultural commentator of sorts. He's definitely interested me in a lot of his works growing up. I used to watch a lot of his episodes of Parts Unknown and No Reservations and Online Cook's Tour. And I even actually listened on audiobook Kitchen Confidential. That was many years ago. I haven't read Get Jiro, which was a comic book that he had some involvement with, but I'll definitely make a point to see that with my busy schedule. It is definitely a heartfelt examination into the man himself. I know he lost his life a few years ago because of certain things I can't be talking about up in public, but yeah, it is pretty upsetting to see a great legend, who I used to be a great fan of. And I felt this way about Christine Cavanaugh, who voiced Dexter on Dexter's Laboratory, one of my all-time favorite cartoons, and Marcia Wallace, who voiced Edna Krabappel on Simpsons, Peter Sallis, who voiced Wallace on Wallace and Gromit, and then just recently Alex Trebek of Jeopardy! So this was quite an emotional experience, but I didn't cry or anything. I've got, you know, strength and tenacity, but it's definitely a documentary for those who want to know more about the man himself, even if they already do. I definitely learned some of the things, a little bit more about his drug habits and issues with his upbringing, and so on and so forth, and also his cooking career when he was at Brasier Les Ailes, which definitely was very interesting, as well as all the facts about him growing up. Well, actually, I'm sorry, I got myself a little bit distracted. It's a bit of the heat as well. But more importantly, his rise to fame and all of his falling outs with loved ones and relationships. I think that was the thing that really destroyed this man. I think if he was more wise, if he didn't get himself too caught up with people who, you know, his career and also, you know, his spouses, I think probably would have been still around. But all good things must come to an end, and even with the horrible fact that he did do that in 2018, I heard about it when I was at a job, oddly enough, as a medical transcriptionist, but that's a different story. And I, you know, heard it on my work break. I was almost like, oh, I should probably take the day off, but I didn't. I wanted to make my money. But it definitely shook me aside, more so than any musician or politician that I can even think of, because I, you know, grew personally with his documentaries and travel show that he used to air. It's more potent than anything that Michael Palin has done, or Samantha Brown to Arnie, or Rick Steves, who's popular on, you know, American TV, on public access PBS with Rick Steves Europe. This is the sort of bad boy of the travel show bunch. And that's why I have a special place in my heart. And I wish to do the very same things that Monsieur Bourdain did himself, as well as his friends Eric Ripert and David Choi. Um, yeah, what a legend! What a legend! Even with screw loose on the head on several occasions. But that's not for me to say. That, you know, that's his life, not yours. And I think if they are going to do a sort of biopic about him, don't. Just like you shouldn't do a sequel to The Purge or Space Jam. Just recently, you should not do a biopic on Anthony Bourdain. I think he's a very unique personality of his own, that trying to get someone else to sort of play the persona of him, just, it wouldn't really work. I could say the same thing about um, Martin Luther King or Malcolm X. I know they did make films about them, but I think their personalities are so distinct in documentaries and through news footage and archives that trying to, you know, get an actor to personify him probably wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work, I'm afraid. But at least the documentary does it on his behalf, and it's from the same people who done "Won't You Be My Neighbor," which was about Mr. Rogers, and 20 Feet from Stardom. So it's not bad. And also Best of Enemies. Try also that as well about what is that? I think Gore Vidal, I can't remember his name, and then William F. Buckley Jr., who was really up his own arse conservative, and he was, conservative versus liberal. This was doing in the 60s, which was a great time of social upheaval and historical tensions that are going throughout the world, particularly in the United States. So check that if you definitely like Roadrunner. But also, when you go to the cinema, please do not get it confused with Space Jam, which also has a character that's called Roadrunner. He says, meep, meep, which is why I said earlier on, the famous animal. This is about Anthony Bourdain, not about a Looney Tune character. Both are great films, but both are completely different and cannot be compared with one another entirely. And that's all I have to say. If you want me to see Green Nile or Stillwater, I probably won't. I'm not quite as interested in those as much as I am. Whereas Anne Frank and Parson, which will be coming out hopefully later the year, and hopefully, I hope, Wendell and Wild and Pinocchio, the Del Toro version, not the Matteo Garrone film that came out last year and got a lot of complaints from the BBFC because it was too scary and violent at PG. Different sort of movie, but fingers crossed if they can get it at least before Christmas. Take care now, everyone, and if ever you all need help of mental health issues and all that, please contact Joe at Samaritans.org. In case if you're feeling something isn't right and your life is falling apart, please do contact Joe at Samaritans.org to prevent further people taking their own life, especially in times of crisis like COVID. Take care.